Wondering how much of a punishment P. Diddy deserves? Wondering what he's done in the past to warrant a level of vitriol that a lot of people might not forgive him for? I don't know if any of us are qualified to answer that question. But I got somebody who is. He'll be on the show in a minute. The Honorable Shyne himself. Former rap artist turned politician. Think about that for a second. Stephen A. Smith Show in the house. He'll be here.
The four-time Warriors champion. He's back. Playing his 12th season out of Washington State University. Number 31, Klay Thompson.
That was beautiful. Welcome to this edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. As always, I take a moment to pause to thank my subscribers, my followers, because we've now eclipsed over 917,000 on YouTube. Eclipsed over 3 million downloads over the last couple of months or so. Can't thank y'all for the love and support enough. Keep it coming, and I'm going to keep on coming. Also, if you want to continue to like and follow the Stephen A. Smith Show, just click the bell to get access to all of our new content, and you too shall consider yourself the latest member of the Stephen A. Smith Show family. While you're doing that, make sure to pick up a copy of my New York Times best-selling book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes, now in paperback. Just go to straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. Once again, that's straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. Let's get started with two quick headlines in the NBA. You saw the highlights right there. You saw Klay Thompson. Okay, Joel Embiid is another one I'll get into. Don't you worry. Just stay right there. We got to start in the Bay Area, however, because Klay Thompson returned to the Chase Center as a Dallas Maverick after 13 years and 4 championships with the Golden State Warriors. Thompson was welcomed with open arms and captain hats throughout the arena as the team played a tribute video to honor his time in Golden State. Klay requested a pre-game speech by former teammate Steph Curry be canceled because he didn't want to get emotional prior to the game. In the end, the Warriors beat the Mavericks 120-117 behind Steph Curry's 37 points and a late 3 to seal the victory. Thompson scored 22 on 6 of 12 shooting from deep in the loss. Let me say this. I think that Klay Thompson is going to regret not letting Steph Curry give that pregame speech. See, ladies and gentlemen, life is about moments. It's about moments. And when you consider what Klay Thompson has meant to that organization, that franchise, that area, the Bay Area, I, for one, the Chase Center is immaculate. It's fantastic. I like it. But nothing beats the Oracle. The Oracle was something special to behold. I'm just trying to tell y'all right now. When them brothers got on a roll and they started raining threes from all over the place, that crowd in that arena, that dilapidated arena, shaking the shit. I mean, it was something special to behold. The Bay Area is the Bay Area. It's real, it's authentic, it's special. And Klay Thompson is a prodigal son of that area. I mean, this man is something special to them. And I think, yeah, it was his choice. And as a 4-time champion who meant so much to the organization, they had to end up departing because they didn't believe in him anymore, to this degree that the Dallas Mavericks clearly are believing in him. I guess he wanted to do that, but moments are not things you get back, ladies and gentlemen. You got to capitalize on certain moments. And I think Klay Thompson should have let Steph Curry give that pregame speech, because I think it would have been very hard to hear Steph Curry speaking, considering the roar that would have emanated and descended down upon Klay Thompson from that crowd. That's how much love they have for him. Nevertheless, he showed up, hit 6 of his 12 three-pointers, okay? Hit about 22 points, showed up respectably, but he wasn't Steph Curry. That Steph Curry that showed up in that last 3 minutes looked like Steph Curry in the semifinals and the finals, or the semifinals and the gold medal game for the Olympics in Paris. That's what I saw from Steph Curry yesterday. The brother's spectacular. The greatest shooter God has ever created, and a 4-time champion in his own right, a 2-time league MVP. No matter how great Klay Thompson was, he was never Steph Curry. And Steph Curry put on that show, finished with 37, and did his thing. Golden State's got a chance this year, y'all. They got a chance. If Steve Kerr continues to really highlight their depth, and use that bench, I think they got a chance. I think they got a chance. And it's going to be interesting. And I'll ask y'all this from a polling perspective. Just tweet the Stephen A. Smith Show or tweet at me, Stephen A. Smith, on X or whatever. Who do you think got a better chance of going to the finals, Golden State or Dallas? I'm not so sure I can summarily dismiss Golden State. I really, really can't. The Sixers, however, in the Eastern Conference might be another matter entirely. Because we got to get to that, where Joel Embiid made his season debut with the Sixers after missing the first 9 games of the season due to his left knee injury. He's suspended for 3 games. Okay, we know he missed games with injuries, but he's suspended for 3 games after shoving Marcus Hayes. We know about that, okay? Anyway, the Sixers took on the Knicks, my Knicks, and Embiid scored just 13 points on 2 for 11 shooting from the field. He left the game not long after it began, but did return. The Sixers lost to the Knicks 111-99, bringing their overall record to 2-8 on the season. As for Embiid, he said it will take time for him to regain confidence in pushing off on that injured left knee. I have to come to the defense of Joel Embiid in this regard. I already spoke on it last week and how the reporter from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Marcus Hayes, should not have brought up his late brother or his son in talking about him and being critical of him. And I stand by that, although in the same breath, I stand by Marcus Hayes' right to write everything and to say everything else he has said about Joel Embiid as a columnist. As a columnist, it's his job to opine, to editorialize, and give his opinion based on the facts that are presented to us. And if that's the opinion that he concluded, there's absolutely positively nothing wrong with him doing that. And I'm not going to hold that personally against Marcus Hayes. I just don't think he should have used his son, his late brother. I think that was low. I think that was wrong. Getting back to Joel Embiid, though, specifically, all right? By the way, they're both sitting out tonight's game. That would be Joel Embiid and Paul George. Left knee injury management. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very clear. Joel Embiid has always been injured. He's always been hurt. That's why it's very, very difficult for me to judge him, but so much. The brother was drafted in 2014 and missed the first 2 years. Who the hell does that? 2 years. 2 years. Because of his feet. He's had foot injuries. He's had knee injuries. He's had back injuries. He's had shoulders. He's had hand injuries. The man had a facial fracture. I mean, damn, he's been so fragile, you kind of wonder whether he got that injury getting the facial. I mean, that's how sensitive and delicate this brother has been. I'm only kidding, of course. But still, it's been that way. So we got to understand that. And I think that when everybody's talking about him, I think the thing that they're missing that I find a bit unfair is that we're acting like the man is just in the offseason doing nothing but getting fat and he's out of shape, et cetera, et cetera. Well, damn, if you hurt all the time and it's on the lower extremities, how are you supposed to get in shape? You can't work out, but so much. That's my thing. And I just think that that's something that's worth bringing up in fairness to him. Look, when he's healthy, as a talent, he's one of the greatest big men this game has ever seen. As a talent. Certainly his credentials don't measure up. He's never even been to the conference finals, let alone the NBA finals. But as a talent, Joel Embiid is a monster. He's the real deal. And if you're giving me a healthy Joel Embiid and a healthy Nikola Jokic, I'm going with Embiid. I ain't apologize for that to nobody. But I would pick Jokic all day, every day, because he's always healthy. He's on the court. It's not the case with Embiid. We need to get over that and understand that's just the way it is. And that's the way it's going to stay. There's no way around it, people. Trust me on this. There's no way around it. Coming up, a former rapper turned politician who says he's the victor, not a victim. My conversation with the man known as Moses Michael Levi Barrow, also known as rap artist Shyne. You think everybody else and their grandmama has something to say about P. Diddy? Who would know more about P. Diddy than that brother? He's right here, next. Our exclusive interview with the one and only Shyne himself. Next on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Don't go away. Okay, everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for Stephen A. Sports Picks. If you live and breathe sports like me, then I'm sure you would do anything to put yourself in the middle of all that action. And how do you solve that problem exactly? You can use Prize Picks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in all the land. You see, with Prize Picks, you simply choose 2, 3, or even up to 6 of your favorite players and then pick more or less on their projected stats for the game. Choose whoever it is you love to watch. That could be Brock Purdy, it could be Paul George, it could be Devin Booker, hell, Jamar Chase, all in the same entry. And if you sign up right now with code SAS, Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't need to win your lineup to receive the $50 bonus, y'all. It's guaranteed. All you have to do is play a $5 lineup on Prize Picks, and you will get $50 instantly. Okay, now let's get to it. I'll be making picks for this Friday's big fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. First up, Mr. Jake Paul himself. More or less than 55.5 total punches landed. I was a bit iffy on this because I know that even though he's going up against a man twice his age, the fact of the matter is, if Mike Tyson hits you and he catches you, that's a problem. I don't give a damn who you are. And I've seen Jake Paul in the ring on plenty of occasions not necessarily throw in a whole abundance of punches. But I predict that in this particular fight, whether it's jabbing, whether it's swinging for the fences, the brother's going to throw more punches than normal. 55.5, I'm going to go with more on this for Jake Paul. More than 55.5 punches. As it pertains to Mike Tyson himself, Iron Mike Tyson himself, more or less than 42.5 total punches landed. Look, he is twice the brother's age, okay? I don't expect the level of activity we customarily saw from Mike Tyson in the 80s and the 90s. I ain't going that damn far. But can I see him throwing 42 or more punches, or 42.5 more punches, getting a little flurry here and there, and he's swinging? Yes, I can see that. So guess what? With this one, I'm going to go with Mike Tyson. More for Mike Tyson, throwing 42.5 punches, more punches than the 42.5, all right? But listen, I've got a surprise for y'all, right? This is not what I normally do with this segment, but I'm going to take a left turn here. All right, here's my surprise. Today we have a special guest. He was last year's winner of the Prize Picks World Championship. Please welcome the one and only Kyle Forjard. What's going on, big time? How are you, man? How's everything?
What's up, Stephen A? How are you, bro? Good to see you.
Man, first of all, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. First things first, you heard what I had to say about Mike Tyson. More than 42.5 points. Jake Paul, more than 55.5 punches. 42.5 for Tyson, 55.5 for Jake Paul. Do you agree with my assessment that both will throw more punches than that?
I see where you're coming from. I don't think you're going to like my take as a Tyson fan, especially. I love Mike Tyson as well, too. But I think it might be a short night for him, man. Yeah. I think I'm going to go less on both. I see Jake coming out. I don't think that Tyson can keep up with his cardio, his pace. I know it's Tyson, but like you said, he's 58, bro.
Right.
And Jake Paul is just a fucking beast right now. He's young. I think Jake might knock him out in under 5 rounds. So I'm gonna go less.
I don't blame you for saying that. Here would be my counter to it, however. Just playing devil's advocate, because I'm not sure I disagree with you. But just playing devil's advocate here, Kyle. Yeah. If you Mike Tyson, when have we seen Jake Paul get hit by anybody? It wasn't by Tommy Fury. It damn sure wasn't by Nate Robinson. Okay, it wasn't by Nate Diaz.
I think he took some big shots. He took some big shots from Fury.
Fury doesn't have big shots, Kyle. He can't punch. That's the one thing.
I mean,
not
like a legend, like Mike Tyson, but Stephen A is 58, bro.
I agree. And
I love Tyson. I don't even want to be saying this publicly, but it's Prize Picks, so we got to be truthful. We got to tell people what we believe, but I don't want to see it, but I think it's going to happen.
I don't want to see it either, but here's what I'm saying to you. I'm thinking it's going to be a long night, short night in a bad way for Mike Tyson because of his age. I get that part. What I'm saying is no one has hit Jake. So what if Jake finally does get hit? What do you think will happen then? We've never really seen him get hit. And by the way, he still refuses. I love Jake Paul. I love what he's done for the sport of boxing. I'm rooting for him to be successful, even though I don't want to see my man Iron Mike get knocked out. But I still look at Jake Paul. There's plenty of dudes out there who actually box for a living that you could have gotten a ring with. And we haven't really seen him do that on a credible level. What do you say to that?
Yeah, he gets a lot of hate. I don't think he's fought many boxers for sure. I think he's still got to prove that. As a boxer, he hasn't proven himself. But I don't know, man. I think age is going to play a big factor here. And I think Jake Paul is he's in wicked shape. I think we're going to see that. Friday night.
He's in wicked shape. We see him bigger than he's ever been. So we hope that that translates into better shape. I don't know if that translates to better shape for his cardio, but I know it equates to something better for him in terms of his power. No doubt about that. But Kyle, let me not forget to ask you this, because you'll be attending this year's World Championship event this Sunday, November 17th, by the way, in Atlanta, Georgia. I will see you there. How pumped are you for this?
I'm pumped. When I heard you're hosting, I got even more pumped. Right. Last year was sick. It was so sick. And I heard this year it's going to be even bigger. Last year, it was more like online based over a couple weeks. This year, it's one day. Everybody's going to be there. Me, Drewski, my boy Steve, Sketch, a ton of cool people. So it's one day, and we're bringing a fan out each. Okay. So each team is flying out a fan, an all-inclusive trip to Atlanta, which is so sick. So I think it's going to be insane. Competing for 100K, maybe even $1 million.
Right.
So I won last year. It was a big win. So I'm not really trying to give up the trophy. I'm trying to repeat. Right. We're coming in hot to Atlanta.
How much did you win last year? Give it up.
We won 100K last year.
Okay. Your squad won it last year. And I know you think you're going to take it all again. What are you going to have to do to take it all?
We can't overthink our picks. I go over my picks with my boy Jimmy Gambles and a couple other boys. You just got to go with your gut. First or second instincts. Don't overthink it. Just lock in the picks at the right time, and then the rest is in the Lord's hands.
All right. By the way, before I let you get on out of here, how much of a chance are you giving Tyson? I know you're picking him to lose, but from an odds perspective, how much of a chance are you giving him to win?
Like, I don't know, 1 in 5?
No, that's about right. I have him at 20%. I'm giving him a 20% chance. So you and I are aligned, my brother. You and I are aligned, all right? Okay.
Go listen to Stephen A. Lock in less, boys, if you're watching.
I don't know about that. We agreeing on this part. They might need to listen to what I said earlier. But then again, I'm not the winner of the championship. You are. So I'll give you props. I'll defer to you. But
yes, sir.
If Tyson wins, you're going to have some explaining to do when I see you Sunday.
We will. I know. I better not. I'm going to see Tyson after, too. So.
All right.
It might not be good.
I got you. That's true. Better watch yourself. No doubt.
Yeah.
Kyle Forjard. Appreciate you, my man. Thanks a lot, bro.
All right, bro. We'll see you in Atlanta.
Absolutely. See you there.
Yes, sir.
Everybody that heard me wanted to sign me. I would ride my bicycle up the Brooklyn Bridge, and by the time I got down, raps would just come to my head. I got a call.
It was like, yo, you gotta hear this kid.
His name is Shyne. Kid is nice.
Now tell me who won the with us. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Whoa. This is a bad beat.
Everybody wanted him.
Somebody called Diddy and started talking crazy. Signing to Bad Boy, I became a millionaire.
Bad Boy was very much like a family for a very long time.
At this point, I'm with Puff all the time. I go to Club New York, we hanging out, and I think we're getting ready to leave.
And then you hear pop, pop, pop.
Bad Boy.
Police are questioning entertainers Sean Puffy Combs and Jennifer Lopez following a shooting at a nightclub.
I had nothing to do with a shooting in this club.
Puff couldn't handle going to jail. Every man for himself.
Puffy got acquitted and he got 10 years.
He was betrayed.
I was absolutely set up to be the fall guy. One of the most difficult parts of it was watching everybody succeed. You know, watching 50. But I put out another album while I was there.
He got bigger.
I spent 10 years in prison, but I was able to move on.
The trajectory of Shyne after that changed.
There's a time to pivot. There's a time to transition. And that's how I got into politics. The politics just came naturally because that made me have a purpose.
That's a beautiful thing when somebody finds their true purpose in life.
What's it all about?
This gentleman came with an aura around him, and everybody was drawn to him.
Caught up in the solution called life.
Belize first. The Belizean people first.
His story is unbelievable.
Everybody's journey is different. Mine was 23 years. I sacrificed my career and life and family to be someone with humanity, with integrity, with honor. Till my very end.
Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. My next guest was a rising hip-hop star in the late 90s with a distinctive style, signed to Bad Boy Records. His career was cut short when he was convicted in a 1999 high-profile shooting at Club New York with Sean Puffy Combs. After serving almost 9 years in prison, he's back with a compelling Hulu documentary called The Honorable Shyne, which details his compelling journey from prison to politics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Stephen A. Smith Show, Moses Shyne Barrow. What's going on, big time? How are you, man? How's everything?
I'm fine. I try to bring some of that warm weather with me from Belize to the Disney studios here in New York, but it's not really working out. Other than that, I'm managing. I remember my days in Brooklyn where I was prepared for this rigid weather, but I'm happy to be here with a legend such as yourself.
I was getting ready to say, stop lying to the American public. You know you had no chance in hell of bringing that warm weather to New York City. Ain't never been here. You know it ain't coming to Brooklyn. You know not the weather in New York, especially this time of year. You know that ain't coming, right?
I tried, man. Listen, last week, the weather was incredible. The weather was incredible. It was like in the 60s.
I feel you. I feel you. Look, man, let me get right into it with you. First of all, I'm proud of you. Not only are you a politician, you look like a politician. Did you ever in your wildest dreams believe you'd be sitting here today as a politician talking to me and anybody else for that matter?
Well, you know, I'd like to be specific. I'm the opposition leader of the Belize House of Representatives. Okay. So I'm not just a politician, elected representatives. I'm the opposition leader in the House of Representatives, which puts me in line to be the next prime minister of Belize. And, you know, wow. For me, I always knew that I was going to make an impact because I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to affect lives. I wanted to lead people in the right way, even as a young kid on the street with a gun in my waist, defending myself and defending my community. Everything that I was doing was geared towards a collective betterment. And if you listen to that first Shyne album, the very first words that I utter in the intro is, "Dear America, I'm only what you made me, young, black, and crazy. Please save me." So that shows you where my mindset was at, speaking in those conscious terms, pleading to the system to provide an alternative to the systematic oppression that, you know, I as a youth and many other urban youth were facing at the time, and saying, listen, if you would build schools instead of prison, I'll stop living the way I'm living. That's what I was saying at 18 years old. So to fast forward to 46-year-old Shyne, who I've been politically active for the last 10 years, I have an opportunity to be the system. And that doesn't always happen. You know, Jay-Z helped Obama become president. You know, Beyonce tried to help the vice president, you know, to
Kamala
make
Harris.
a big jump. But it doesn't always work out. You don't always have someone who can go from the spectrum of entertainment to actually the Oval Office or the Prime Minister's office in my case. And so in my work in the last 10 years, it was a smooth transition from singing about all that was wrong with the society I was living in to being the person that can provide solutions for all that is wrong. And I don't think it's a stretch to go from, you know, an entertainer to a politician. Ronald Reagan did it. And I believe that all the musicians I grew up around, you know, we were all community-oriented people. And, you know, that's what hip-hop does. We give back. We get there and we give back. So giving back on a legislative level, to me, is just the evolution of hip-hop.
It is special, no doubt. When I think about The Honorable Shyne, I'm thinking about this documentary. That is the title of it. And I find myself wondering, I'm guessing, why now? One would easily surmise it's because of what's happened to Sean Diddy Combs. Others would sit up there and look at it and say, it is election time after all. It seems the perfect opportunity for him to come out with something like this. How do you answer that question? Why now with this with this documentary?
I have been inundated with solicitations to do a documentary for the last 22 years, to be factual. Mark Wahlberg offered me, I think, like $1 million deal back in 2004, and I have that proposal. I could share it with you. I just was always looking for the right partner. I was just looking for the right partner, and it had to make sense fiscally, because I'm a shrewd businessman, and it had to be the right partner. And being the right partner was not just a financial commitment. It was a story that we were going to tell. I didn't want to tell the Diddy story. I did not want to tell.
Why not?
Because that's not my story. My story is next Prime Minister of Belize. My story is power. My story is victor. My story is triumph over tragedy. That's my story.
But allow me to interject. Because you emanate from the hip hop community, it is, I use this respectfully, it's a rags to riches story, because I, like you, get upset when we're always highlighting, the rags to riches, or the rags element of the rag to riches story, because everybody seems like every story is about that. But in your case, it's special because, as you highlighted, you're an opposition party leader. You're next in line to be the prime minister. And that is a huge, huge deal. It's one thing to all of a sudden, to go from rags to literally being successful and making money. Well, you did that in the 90s, okay? Because you were making millions in the 90s. But to be a politician, to be a leader, to be in line to be the leader of a nation, I mean, that's something entirely different, wouldn't you say?
Yes, and that's the story. Unfortunately, I think I should have done a bio documentary maybe 10 years ago, and this should have been another documentary focused on my political life and the journey from maybe 10 years ago to now. But I just didn't do it, and that's why I said it was timely. But it was all about finding the right partners and people that understood. Like, when you look at this documentary, it's the first time in my life that I've relinquished creative control in any type of entertainment project. And I had to trust the people that I was working with, and it just doesn't happen like that. And when I found those partners, everything else just happens to be coincidence. 2 years ago, started shooting. We signed a deal 2 years ago. We started shooting production maybe a year and a half ago. And all the other things that you see happening, I can't stop the world from happening. But, my story was bound to be told. And it's not like we just looked at what was happening and said, oh, come on, let's hurry up and tell the Shyne story. The Shyne story is overdue. And as I said, it was about finding the right partners. And with these partners that I have, Marcus Clark and the Disney people, Hulu, Landscape, Disney Plus, if you look at the documentary, I had no creative control. But the documentary doesn't tell the Diddy story. It's not a gotcha, sensational documentary in those terms of trying to exploit, his tragedy. It's talking about what I've been through, and obviously, we're forever linked. We're forever linked. I can never get away from that. I would prefer not to talk about it. I'll be honest with you. When I first saw the documentary, one of my first objections was, why are you focusing so much on the trial? Why, we need to focus more on Belize. Let's focus more on how I made the album. Let's focus more on the creativity. Let's get more people to talk about what a great musician I was. But unfortunately, a part of the story is the pain. A part of the story is the sorrow. A part of the story is the defeat, is the devastation, and we just can't escape that.
Because and when I use this word educate, I mean respectfully, because obviously you're an educated brother and you know what you're talking about. I'm talking about from a media perspective. From a media perspective, let me educate you on this level. Diddy's story will be told. And no matter what story is going to be told about Diddy, there's a potpourri of things to talk about him for months and years to come. When some folks are talking, and when folks are talking to Shyne and they're talking about Shyne, they want to know about Shyne himself, from his perspective, what he experienced. So tell us, what exactly did you experience? People are going to go to December 27, 1999. They're going to look at things like that. They want to know what happened to Shyne himself. In your words, what happened to you?
Well, in my words, I said so many years ago, back in 2001, I knew that was my first double XL cover. I had about 6. And the cover is Death Before Dishonor. It was me talking about not snitching on Diddy and not getting him in trouble to get myself out of trouble. I said that 20 odd years ago. So I've always maintained in every interview I did until recently when I healed and I moved on and I forgave. But for years, I was saying, what a creep I thought he was and how he destroyed my life. And at one point, I thought he was the devil. But because of the power of Diddy, which is so loud as far as a pop culture icon, nobody listened. So I moved on and I pivoted my life to healing, to forgiveness, and to taking accountability for what I can control. And I can't control what someone did to me decades ago. I can't control them not wanting to pay reparations, not wanting to make right. That people say, oh, Diddy gave me millions to go to jail. Nothing. Probably made 2 what I thought were offensive contributions over the last 20-something years, which led to a breakdown in the relations. But I moved on. So yes, was I the sacrificial lamb? Of course. Did I take the fall? Yes. There was no quid pro quo. There was not, listen, we're going to have $10 million waiting for you when you come out. I'll just do the right thing. I did that on my own, and I've been saying that. It's not anything new. But in the documentary, just like in this interview, I can't say to you, Stephen A., I don't want to talk about Diddy. Let's talk about me becoming the prime minister. I can't talk about only what I want to talk about. I have to be fair and transparent to the audience. But I've been saying the same thing if you do your research. But he also mentored me in the year or so we spent working together to make one of the greatest hip hop albums ever. I learned a lot as far as being an entrepreneur, as far as being, a disruptor and a trailblazer. And so I got exactly what I went to the University of Bad Boy with Diddy as professor when it comes to entertainment and even things that I've been able to carry with me as far as work ethic, as far as, manifesting the greatness that you want to achieve. So there were some positives. But obviously, going to jail for 10 years when that could have been avoided, or someone that, my mom entrusted, her 19-year-old son, that they would do right by me, to send me to prison when we could have avoided that. There's nothing we can ever do to change that. And so when I'm telling the story, I can't whitewash that. I can't sanitize that. That's not necessarily the story I want to tell. So I hope that the next documentary, the next movie I do will be about, my rise to become prime minister.
When you heard, and I want to move on from this because I'm transitioning to who you are. I want to be very, very clear. I'm not going to be unfair to you and just focus on this. I'm transitioning to who you are and where you stand right now. But I'm just trying to paint a picture. When you heard them sentence you to prison for 10 years, could you take us back to that moment and what kind of effect you thought that would have on you at that moment in time?
I was devastated, but I'm such an eternal optimist that I just kept thinking, I'm going to get a bill. I'm going to get a bill. I'm going to get the judge to give me a bill pending appeal, which is what Tupac got. When Tupac had his case, Death Row was able to get him out on bail pending his appeal. And so I just kept living every day with hope that I'd get a bail pending appeal or I'd have a successful appeal and get out. And I never gave up hope. And I was very spiritual. I was an Orthodox Jew. I'm still spiritual. I'm not as observant as I used to be. Still rap tefillin, still observe Yom Kippur and all the high holidays and Shabbat. Right. But I was always optimistic. But, listen, the first night in prison, I got on my knees and I cried and I said to God, listen, I'm not even going to question you because I didn't question you when I was driving that Bentley last week. I didn't question you when I was driving that Ferrari. I didn't question you living on the 51st floor of the Trump Towers, which is where I was living at the time. This is before MAGA and all that stuff. I didn't question you when I sold 1 million records, going from a poor kid in Belize that didn't even have a toilet system and used to have to take the waste bucket to the canal. I never questioned you how you took me from that to a millionaire at the age of 18 to one of the most popular rappers in America and the world. I didn't say, well, why me, God? So I'm not going to say, why me, God, now. All I'm going to ask you is to give me the ability to endure this, the same way that you gave me the ability to make it through everything I made it to this point and to accomplish the things that I accomplished. I felt this was my biggest test to date. And the same way God blessed me to be able to not just survive, but to thrive through all of the adversities up to that point, I knew that God would be able to give me the power to get through this. And so I did that every day. So I was present every day. I never closed my eyes and tried to get away from what I was facing, because I knew instinctively, I knew that it's just like if you want to win a world championship, whether it's baseball, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, it's grueling. The guys that win the chips are the guys that don't go to the clubs when they're, traveling on the road. It's the guys that are in the arena practicing. It's the guys that don't sleep because they're practicing. It's the guys that go through excruciating training to make sure that they're conditioned, for the championships. And so for me, I looked at what I was going through as me graduating to the next level. Whether I was convincing myself and I was being delusional, it worked, because I did graduate and I am on the next level.
When did you begin studying Judaism? That was in prison, correct?
I became spiritual in a monotheistic way before I was incarcerated. So I always believed in monotheism, and that's why I changed my name to Moses, because Moses was always my hero. Moses was a person that was wealthy, powerful, worked with Pharaoh, but Moses had a moral crisis. And because of that moral crisis as to what was right and wrong and how you treat human beings, he left all his money, all his power, and he went into the wilderness and he led the Israelites to freedom. But he did all that talking to God. So when I was 15 years old, one of my friends got his brains blown out right in front of me. And he was one of the toughest guys that was around us. He was the toughest guy that I knew. And when I saw that happen to him, I became, just awoken by mortality. And I said, if that could happen to him, there's no way that I'm going to survive these streets of Brooklyn. And that's when I started praying. And I started talking to God the same way that my grandmother told me about this Moses. And, that's how I learned about God, not through an intermediary. I'm not judging anyone in their religion, because there's a different route. You can fly to Los Angeles, you can take the train, you can drive. Everyone has a different route to where they need to arrive as a human being. But monotheism spoke to me. Moses, from the 5 books that is in the Quran and in the Torah, spoke to me. And so I started having this conversation with God every day, because every day was life or death for me in Brooklyn, literally.
Well, I'm from Hollis, Queens. Bunch of relatives in Brooklyn, bunch of relatives in the Bronx. I know what you're talking about. Listen, we're running out of time. I'm so mad this is only going to be 30 minutes, because I could have sat down with you for 2 hours with the stuff you talking about, because I got a whole bunch of stuff that I want to get to. But I want to ask you this. How on earth did you become the leader of the opposition party in Belize? I know your dad, if remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, according to my research, first Black prime minister in Belize. I mean,
yes.
How'd you become the leader of the opposition party? How'd you climb that high?
Well, remember, I grew up in I left Belize when I was 8, grew up in Brooklyn with my mom. So I love my dad. Him and I, have the best relationship than we've ever had. Obviously, we've had our difficulties in the documentary. You see him being the honorable person that he is and owning up to that. But when I got involved in politics, like everything else in my life, my dad didn't have anything to do with it. You know, he was surprised when he heard from the media.
So how'd you get in it?
When I went back to Belize, I was living in Paris about in 2013, and I went to Belize to visit for my mom's 60th birthday. And, you know, I would always go back to my community, see how people are living, go visit, you know, different relatives. And people will be complaining, we don't know where we're going, you know, things about the change, and we don't know about the new leaders that are going to take over. You know, why don't you get involved? And there was a friend of the family that said, Shyne, this is your time. We need you. You have this global experience. You have your own wealth. You're not like these corrupt politicians that are going to get involved in politics to get rich and to get famous, because you already have that. You actually mean well for the people. And these are the type of leaders that we need. And I said to myself, you know, what am I doing in Paris? Belize needs me. I'm going to come back home and I'm going to get involved. And that was in 2013, about 11 years ago. And I was working ever since then. I started off as the vice chairman of the constituency, and I opened up a resource center, and I just kept working every day. Ironically enough, my uncle, who held the seat that I had, told me that he wasn't going to support me because he already made a promise to one of his friends, and that, you know, he's going to beat me in a convention. And so I better find something else to do, because I'm never going to become the area representative as long as he's there, because he already made promises to someone else. I fought the same way I did in Brooklyn to become Shyne, the rapper, dodging bullets, chasing down street teams, jumping over the desk at Def Jam so that the A&R would hear me. I fought to get here. And so I first won my seat in the House of Representatives. Then I won a convention, a national convention, a party convention, to become the party leader. And that's how you become, you know, the opposition leader in the House of Representatives. And I'll fight to win 16 seats to become the next prime minister in the next elections.
And you so in other words, you're on the verge of being the next prime minister of Belize. And
when's
that election taking place?
It's not easy.
You here. I'm rooting for
it's
you.
Not
it's
easy,
going to happen. It's going to happen.
I'm a step away from it. And I believe the economy, inflation, similar to what happened here in the United States, you know, that's what people are looking at. You know, people's lives are not better in Belize over the last 4 years of this new administration. So we're going to continue to take that message to all Belizeans, and we're going to continue to work to formulate policies that solve their problems.
And how long, again, that election would be when? 2 years, 3 years? What's the timetable?
That election could be as early as 90 days. I've been in the House of Representatives for the last 4 years. And so elections could be anywhere from 90 to the next maybe 180 days. We suspect 90 days.
And obviously people are going to be watching the Honorable Shyne. We're going to be watching this documentary when they ask you, because inevitably, at least in the United States of America, they're going to ask you, did you hear anything about P. Diddy? Did you hear what happened? How do you feel about what happened? What are you going to say about him, if anything at all, at this point in time in your life?
I pray for the victims. I pray for people like Cassie, who has been proven that she's a victim, and everyone else. I'm not sure the credibility of everyone else. I pray for the victims, and I pray for Diddy. I pray that he's able to do some soul searching, and even if he's not guilty of the accusations, there's a reason he is where he is right now, and it's up to him to communicate with God and to try to cleanse his soul and pivot and move forward and redeem himself. And I pray that he's able to go through that journey and that he has success, because the same way I was rehabilitated and I reformed myself, I'm not here to condemn anyone in perpetuity. You know, I hope that justice is served. If he's not guilty, the judicial system will decide that. If he is, I hope that he's contrite and he turns his life around. And I hope that the victims can get closure.
Direct question. When you've made it very, very clear, and the people who love you have made it very, very clear, you got a bad rap, you took the rap, you suffered because of it unfairly. Is that a roundabout way, or not an indirect way, of saying it wasn't you, it was Diddy who did that shooting in 1999?
I was defending myself. So I would never say that I did not fire in self-defense. But the question is, who else fired? The reality is, the fact is, there were shell casings found from 2 other guns, in addition to mine, shell casings that did not obviously match mine. The forensics never took the ballistics out of the victims. So we don't know who shot the victims. And according to one victim,
gotcha,
Diddy shot her. Those are just the facts. I maintain that I was acting in self-defense, and I continue to say that. And so I'm innocent in the sense of I did not intentionally try to hurt anyone. I was defending myself. But what complicates it is that 2 other people or 2 other guns were fired. And the victim says Diddy shot her. So that's the reality. Right. So
listen, I got news for you. I got to let you go. I thank you for your time with this interview. My man, at some point in time, I'm not going to put it past me to come to Belize
I was just about to say
Prime
that.
Minister.
You have an open invitation to Belize.
I'm about to roll out there. I'm
sure
excited about that possibility.
Even though I'm not in government, I try to work with the Minister of Tourism to promote Belize in a bipartisan way. So I'm sort of tourism ministry. We're happy to welcome you.
Right.
And we could hopefully time it around my memoir, because I'm coming out with a book. I gotta write this and
consider it done.
Unlike the documentary that I relinquished creative control, the book is going to be all me. So maybe you could time it around the memoir, but maybe you could come before, check it out, and then come back again for the memoir. I want you down there. I want you to be a regular. I want you to build a house down there.
I'll be happy. Listen,
I want you to take some of that money from that new contract you're getting and come and invest in Belize.
No problem, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to come down, but I want more than 30 minutes. All right?
Absolutely.
We got to hang out.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Stephen.
Man, all the best. Right. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. So proud of all that you've been doing. All the best to you, man. Keep making big things happen, all right?
Thank you, my brother. God bless you, and God bless your viewership. God bless Belize. God bless America.
God bless you. No doubt. My thanks to the one and only Moses Shyne Barrow. The Honorable Shyne premieres November 18th on Hulu. Do not miss it. Make sure you check it out. Trust me, it will be worth it. Coming up, back to the United States of America, because, compared to this country right now, Belize might be the place to go. I'm just saying. Trump is on it already with a whole bunch of cabinet appointments. We might as well just start bracing ourselves now. Why even wait till January? We might still start bracing ourselves now. Come holiday season. Might be the last good one we have for a while. I hope not, but it just might be the case. We'll talk about that. Plus your tweets to close out the show next, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Don't go away. Be right back. Listen up, y'all. I have an important announcement that I need you to hear. Here at the Stephen A. Smith Show, we're determined to win at any cost. And that's why we partnered with Prize Picks, America's #1 sports fantasy app, to help turn our sports knowledge into some big-time cash. You see, Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app where you can choose as many as 2, 3, or up to 6 players from your favorite sports teams, and then pick more or less on their projected stats for their game. You like Jalen Hurts? Pick him! You like Anthony Davis? Pick him too. You think Steph Curry's going to go off? Then pick all 3. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks, and then sit back and watch the winnings roll in. And get this, sign up with code SAS and Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't need to win your lineup to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. All you have to do is play a $5 lineup on Prize Picks and you'll get $50 instantly. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's really that easy. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. I had to get into this, ladies and gentlemen, because as Zach Galifianakis in the movie The Campaign with Will Ferrell said, ladies and gentlemen, we're in Washington, we're bringing our brooms because it's a mess. And sure enough, this man, Donald Trump, ain't even back in office yet. And Lord have mercy, it seems like a mess. We got to get started with the political headlines this president-elect has brought to the table as he continues to fill out his cabinet while we're heading towards his inauguration in January of 2025. One big appointment that's now raising eyebrows is Trump naming SpaceX and Tesla CEO Elon Musk and biotech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy to head up a new Department of Government Efficiency. Exactly. In other words, it's new. It didn't exist until now. I mean, if that isn't bad enough, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, another appointment. This Pete Hegseth, former Fox News host. I know they're going to listen to he's a veteran of the Iraq and Afghanistan war. You know, I get all of that. I understand that. I'm not throwing any shade on his service in our military. God bless him. Appreciate and honor his service. And by the way, Trump just tapped Marco Rubio as a Secretary of State. I don't mind that. Marco Rubio is a highly respected senator out of Florida. And he's been around for a while, ran against Trump in 2016, couldn't do anything with them, but Marco Rubio is respected, highly knowledgeable, very articulate. I have no problem with him being Secretary of State whatsoever. Just wanted to get that out there. But if you look at some of these appointments, could y'all just look on the screen, please? Could you just look on the screen for yourself? Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas. Okay, that's fine. Ambassador to Israel. CIA Director John Ratcliffe. He's got some experience now with the CIA, but, you know, he was obviously a Trump supporter. Just threw away all the Russian disinformation they proclaim was existing. I got that. Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security. Okay, Stephen Witkoff, Special Envoy to the Middle East. William McGinley, White House Counsel. You just get the impression. Let me not forget Lee Zeldin, congressman from Long Island. He'll be the new EPA administrator. So he goes from a congressman to an administrator, even if it is for the EPA, okay? Environmental Protection Agency, for those of you who don't know. It just seems to me that what Trump is determined to do is have people loyal to him, as opposed to prioritizing their level of competency as politicians. I'm not questioning any of these individuals' capabilities. I'm not saying they can't do the job. I have no clue. I know none of them. I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on them. I'm simply using this as evidence to highlight why you had so many people out there so damn nervous about Trump. Because you see some of these folks and you know the first thing you hear is how loyal all of these people were. And then we also got to go to what's been reported. Because it was also reported that former Vice President Mike Pence was quoted as saying this, quote, "I don't think the president should pardon anyone who assaulted a police officer at the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. And that he's literally, quote, praying that President-elect Trump and President-elect Vance will stand on the commitments that they will make when they raise their right hands on that day." I read that quote from former Vice President Mike Pence because, ladies and gentlemen, he was the guy in 2021 assigned to certify the election. And the election results that showed Joe Biden would be the new president in the United States of America. It was he who Trump was speaking about when he spoke to that crowd outside near the U.S. Capitol at the Ellipse, where Vice President Kamala Harris spoke right before the election, imploring them to save our country. We have to stop this. We have to protest peacefully, blah, 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 blah. And then they ultimately stormed in there and they were screaming, "Hang Mike Pence." They defecated in the offices of elected officials. They barricaded through the barricades. They killed a police officer died. A woman was shot by Secret Service. And yet we're looking at a situation where Mike Pence doesn't want those folks pardoned. And meanwhile, Trump has been on the record guaranteeing that he would pardon all 1,500 folks who found themselves indicted and incarcerated because of their actions on that fateful day, January 6th, 2021. So, ladies and gentlemen, all I got to say about this is welcome to the chaos. Welcome to the chaos. All I ask is that you consider this. When the Democrats come and say, see what you told, see what we told y'all, tell them to kick rocks. Donald Trump strolled down the golden escalators in 2015. That's what he did. Y'all swore up and down he was going to lose. You made jokes about him. You laughed at him. Commentators, elected officials, even former President Obama. And then he beat Hillary Clinton in the Electoral College vote. And he lost the election in 2020. But here he is, the Republican nominee, not once, not twice, but 3 straight elections. And the Democrats still don't have a definitive candidate they believe can beat him. So I don't want to hear what they have to say. Because in the end, you can't beat them. You were willing to rely on an 81-year-old man that was going to be 82 by the time of the election to go up against him because you had no one definitively you could point to that could take him out. Fair and square. Now, you can sit up there and debate all you want till the cows come home about lawfare and all of this stuff if you're someone on the right and how they use lawfare to get at Donald Trump. That's not to say they were wrong. That's not to say he didn't break any laws. Nobody cares. The American people spoke. 34 felony convictions, 2 impeachments, civil suits for hundreds of millions. They said, kick rocks. We want him anyway. And they weren't the only ones. The independents voted for him too. Women voted for him. Minorities in the Latino and the black community elevated in numbers. There's nothing anybody could say. The man won the election fair and square. So this chaos that is threatening to come about, even though we don't know for sure whether that's going to be the case, you brought it on yourself because you couldn't beat him. You didn't get enough people out to the polls to beat him. And he won fair and square. Let's get to your tweets before I get on out of here, please, because I want to see what you guys got to say, all right? Stephen A., this is at OK Cowboys Braves. Stephen A. Smith. Hey, Stephen A., this really cute girl wants me to hang out this Sunday, but there is football on that same day. Do I pick the girl or watch football? Well, my brother, how bad do you want her? How attracted are you to her? Because here's what I can promise you. Football ain't going to keep you warm at night. Football ain't going to cook you breakfast. Football ain't going to make you lunch. Ain't going to make you dinner. It's not going to cuddle you. It's not going to make you feel all tingly inside. Football ain't going to do that. Football's great. It ain't going to do that. And here's another question, because you didn't tell me this. Do you have a girl? Do you have a girl? Because if you have a girl, you understand, you're already messing up because you're thinking about this one. So you might want to do something about that for even asking the question. But my direct answer would be, a woman that you want is always worth more than football. Maybe after you get her, you can go back to conventional behavior. Say, damn, I got to hook up with you after the game. I ain't going to miss this game. But if you're trying to get her and she wants you during football, well, you got 2 options. Viable options. You can pass on the football, or you damn well had better learn to multitask. Just a thought, brother. Just a thought. Next tweet, what you got? At It's Flerick writes, Stephen A., bar soap or body wash? Personally, I prefer bar soap. You know, body wash sort of foams up and stuff and makes you feel like it's touching everything. But is it touching every part of your body the way you want your body touched? Like, there are some things that you could gloss over with that foam-like material, and there's other things you need to scrub hard. That's where the body soap comes in. You see what I'm saying? You got to scrub. Got to scrub that dirt off you. You got to scrub that filth off you. You got to scrub that funk off of you. Get the funk out of my face. Get the funk out of my face. Yeah. That's bar soap that does that for you. Not the body wash. Next up, what you got? At Reign of Pride, right? Stephen A. Smith, thoughts on Goku and Vegeta beating the majority of Marvel superheroes. Can't see that. Can't see anything beating the majority of Marvel superheroes. If everything could beat, if there was something out there that could beat the majority of Marvel superheroes, Marvel wouldn't be superheroes. That's my answer to that question. Last one, what you got? At Big Content Guy, right? Stephen A. Would you rather have horrible heartburn or horrible diarrhea? This is tricky because heartburn makes you feel like you're catching a damn heart attack. I don't know anything good about that. I can't say there's anything good about that. Okay? I really, really can't. But diarrhea, now, here's how I would answer this question. I would go with the horrible diarrhea if I'm near the toilet. Like when I'm 57, I've had a few colonoscopies in my life. When you get cleansed, your system gets cleared for a colonoscopy, you got to drink that nasty stuff they get you to drink. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I ain't lying to you. I don't mean to be too graphic, TMI, I get that part. But it got so bad, I drank fruit punch and pooped out fruit punch. That's how cleared my system is. When you got that kind of diarrhea, you got to be near a toilet. Now, if you're near the toilet, I would tell you diarrhea, horrible diarrhea is what you should pick. If you're not in the vicinity of a toilet, you want to go heartburn. You want to go heartburn. All right? Just let you know. That's it for this edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. I got to get on out of here, but I'll be back with you in a couple of days. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. Thanks again to the Honorable Shyne himself, Shyne Barrow. That's the man right now. Documentary, I'm sorry. The Honorable Shyne. Got to check it out. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, Stephen A. signing off. Peace and love.